Success is not a place you happen upon. It's something you construct piece by piece, moment by moment. Every little thing you do, every small effort, every subtle choice you make contributes to something far greater than you can imagine at the moment. We tend to view great achievers and imagine that they arrived overnight. But the reality is that all overnight successes are a foundation of years of unseen work. Those early morning starts, those late evenings, those days when nobody was looking but they continued anyway. Success is never one single great jump. It's a series of small steps consistently taken, even when success is just creeping along. We live in a culture that hails the finish line, but scarcely portrays the journey. Social media broadcasts the highlight reels, the achievements, the accolades, the cheers, but not the thousands of tiny efforts that made them happen. Muniba Mazari's story teaches us that each step counts. She wasn't an inspiration overnight. It was years of hurt, healing, introspection, and perseverance that forged the strength we see today. Her life tells us that small, consistent increments create enduring change. You don't need to make giant strides, you simply need to keep moving ahead day by day. Consider this: when you sow a seed, you don't unearth it daily to see if it's growing. You water it, care for it, and have faith in the process. Success is the same. Your actions won't yield results overnight, but that doesn't render them useless. Every little step is gaining momentum, creating habits, and conditioning your mind. The catch is, the majority of people give up too soon because they can't see progress immediately. The fact is, progress is usually not visible until one day it's unquestionable. When you choose to show up every day, you condition your mind to be consistent. You begin to substitute doubt with discipline and fear with focus. Perhaps today you only take an inch, but tomorrow that inch will be a mile. It doesn't matter how quickly you are going, as long as you keep going. Some days you'll want to, and some days you won't. But if you see that tiny steps are still steps, you'll keep walking your journey when it's difficult. Each day you wake up and do one thing that brings you closer to your dream. You're constructing your success. When you decide to learn something new, when you remain focused rather than distracted, when you challenge yourself to get a little bit better, you're adding another brick to the foundation of your tomorrow. These tiny things may not seem like much today, but eventually they turn into unstoppable momentum. It's simple to disregard small progress because it doesn't feel epic. But consider this: even a single drop of water can erode rock, not due to its force, but due to its persistence. Every great artist, every leader, every change maker began with one step. They constructed their success day by day, error by error, lesson by lesson. And that's what you have to do. Look not at how much farther you have to travel, but at what you can do today that will get you one step closer. There will be times when you'll be exhausted. You'll wonder if anything you're doing even makes a difference. But in that moment, remember that nothing good comes in an instant. Every morning starts in the night. Every accomplishment starts with little, steady effort. The world may not notice you're behind, the scene's progress, but it will. You'll look back and you'll see that each small step you took, each sacrifice, each moment of fear, each time you opted for expansion over convenience, was constructing you into the individual you are today. So don't hold out for the ideal moment to begin. Start now with what you have where you are. Concentrate on one step, one task, one enhancement. Because success isn't created by doing it all once. It's created by doing something daily. And when you continue to show up, when you continue to build brick by brick, one day you'll look around and know you've created something remarkable. Your achievement wasn't chance. It was your persistence, your grit, and your willingness to take one more tiny step each and every day. Perfection is an illusion that holds so many hostage from even beginning. We hold out for the perfect moment, the ideal plan, the ideal circumstances, but life doesn't work that way. The reality is, there will never be a better time, and you will never be fully prepared. Progress does not result from perfection but from movement. The most successful individuals didn't start out with all the answers. They started out with courage, with willingness, and with faith that they would learn as they went. When you prioritize progress over perfection, you allow yourself the possibility to grow. You no longer fear failure, for you recognize that every failure is merely a part of the process. Muniba Mazari has a habit of saying, "We all are masterpieces in progress." And she's right. You don't have to be perfect. You have to be changing. Every failure is a lesson. Every setback is the foundation for your strength. Every slight improvement accumulates into something greater than you could have ever dreamed. The problem is that perfectionism often disguises itself as ambition. We tell ourselves, "I'll start when it's perfect. I'll act when I'm ready." But that mindset keeps us stuck. The truth is, you get ready by starting. You learn by doing. You grow by trying. Every person you admire started with uncertainty, just like you. What separates them from those who never succeed isn't talent. It's the decision to move forward despite the fear of imperfection. As soon as you change your mindset from, "I have to be perfect," to, "I just have to keep making progress," it all flips. Suddenly, your aspirations don't weigh so heavily. You no longer freeze in fear and begin to love action. You understand that 1% improvement daily is superior to waiting for 100% certainty that will never arrive. You start liking the process, not just pursuing the destination. Because success is not about doing everything right. It's about getting better each step of the way. Consider Muniba's experience. When she got into her accident, she could have quit. She could have hung back until life was once again perfect before carrying on. But she did not. She celebrated her flaws and made them a part of her strength. Her art, her voice, her tale. These were not conceived of perfection but of progress. She constructed her new existence day by day, demonstrating that you don't have to have ideal circumstances to build something strong. You just have to want to start. Therefore, release the fear of being imperfect. You're permitted to fail. You're permitted to fall. It matters not that you don't quit. The more times you try again, the more ahead of your counterpart you become who never attempted anything in the first place. Progress is imperfect, but it's genuine, it's authentic, it's what changes you. The cracks and flaws in your path aren't what make it weaker. They're what make it real. They're the testament to your story. The story of a person who didn't give up even when it wasn't good enough. When you're concentrating on progress, you start to realize how far you've traveled compared to how far you have left to travel. You begin to value the small wins, the work you did, what you learned, how you got stronger. That thankfulness snowballs. You begin to trust in yourself more, believing that even small moves are powerful. And you look back one day and see that all of those not so perfect days were exactly what brought you here. Stop waiting for everything to fall into place before you act. Begin messy, begin scared, begin unsure, but simply begin. Every imperfect start is a stepping stone to mastery. Every day you prioritize progress over perfection, you become stronger, wiser, and more capable. Keep in mind, it's not about being right all the time. It's about becoming better with time. That's how success is created, not in perfection, but in the willingness to continuously improve, one day at a time. Motivation is great, but it's not always consistent. Some days you'll wake up and feel like taking on the world, and other days you won't even get out of bed. That's just being human. The fact is, motivation is temporary. It comes and goes like the weather. But discipline persists. Discipline is what takes you to the next level when motivation disappears. It's the silent dedication that dictates, "I will get up, regardless of how I feel." And that's what really fosters greatness. Muniba Mazari's life is a perfect reflection of this truth. Her story isn't one of constant motivation. It's one of unstoppable discipline. There were days when pain tried to define her, when doubt tried to silence her. But she chose to show up anyway. She didn't wait to feel ready. She chose to be consistent. And that consistency became her power. Because success doesn't belong to the most talented. It belongs to the most disciplined. Discipline isn't about pushing yourself to the point of exhaustion. It's about sticking with your vision even when it feels crappy. It's the commitment to keep going despite your feelings telling you to quit. It's growth over comfort, purpose over pleasure, and long-term gain over short-term convenience. Motivation says, do it when you want to. Discipline says, do it because you must. That's where dreamers fall short compared to doers. Consider this. Everyone can work hard on the days that they are feeling motivated, but real strength is established on the days that you do not. Those are the days that temper your resolve, that strengthen your character, that distinguish those who want from those who get. When you remain consistent, you build momentum. You no longer rely on outside energy because your actions are your own energy. You understand that being there every day isn't about getting things done. It's about being the type of person who doesn't give up. Self-discipline also establishes trust with yourself. Each time you do what you told yourself you would do, you make stronger the voice inside that says, I can rely on me. That self-trust is one of the strongest forms of confidence. You no longer wait for others to motivate you or validate you because you've learned to trust yourself. You become solid, steady, and resilient. You no longer negotiate with your excuses because you've experienced the power that lies in commitment. The beauty of discipline is that it doesn't require perfection. It merely requires consistency. Even small, consistent effort over time produces extraordinary outcomes. If you read for 10 minutes a day, you'll know more than a person who reads 10 hours a month. If you do something about your goals every day, no matter how small, you'll be unstoppable in the long term. It's not how much you do. How often you do it is what matters. There will be days when your progress seems slow, when your outputs don't immediately reflect. That's the time when discipline comes in handy. It's tempting to quit when progress is seemingly nowhere to be found. But success is commonly constructed in silence. Each disciplined step you take lays another block in your foundation. It might not seem like much today, but one day these blocks will build something wonderful, something only discipline was capable of constructing. So, for goodness sake, don't wait for inspiration to hit. It never will. Instead, create habits that serve your objectives. Develop a system that keeps you on track even when your mood is not. Condition your mind to follow through, not because you feel like it, but because you said you would. And don't forget, every single tremendous success you've ever been in all of was constructed by someone who didn't quit when they didn't feel like it. Motivation may initiate your journey, but discipline alone will complete it. The days you struggle, the days you drag yourself in, the days you persist in spite of everything, that's where victories are formed. Because ultimately, it's not about how motivated you were, it's about how determined you remained. And when you live with discipline, you don't merely create success. You create strength, resilience, and a version of yourself that can do anything. Failure is not opposite to success, it's included. Every individual who has done something purposeful has stumbled, struggled, and erred in between. The only difference is they did not view those moments as the end of the road. They viewed them as lessons. When you begin to see setbacks as a chance to learn rather than excuses to quit, your whole growth dynamic shifts. You no longer flee failure and instead grow from it. Muniba Mazari's life is the living proof of this fact. Life presented unimaginable challenges to her. There were painful moments, loss, and pure uncertainty. And yet she refused to let those moments define her. She didn't mask her failures. She faced them, learned from them, and used them as fuel for transformation. Each failure she experienced became a stepping stone to the woman she was destined to be. That's what turning pain into power is all about. When you fail, it's painful, don't get me wrong. It jolts your confidence and causes you to doubt your worth. But in that pain, there is a priceless gift. All failure teaches you something, possibly about your plan, your timing, or even yourself. It's feedback, not defeat. Failure demonstrates to you what won't work so that you can discover what does. The issue is that most people take failure personally rather than practically. They quit too quickly because they assume falling signifies that they aren't capable, when in fact, falling indicates that they're attempting. Success is not a straight line, it's a bumpy ride with ups and downs, breakthroughs and breakdowns. The secret is resilience, the capacity to stand up each time life pushes you down. Every time you stand up after failure, you stand taller, wiser, and more determined. You discover that your value isn't gauged by how many times you fall, but by how many times you stand up again. The people who succeed are not the ones who never fail. They're the ones who refuse to stay down. Failure humbles you. It reminds you that development is a slow process and requires patience. It removes your ego and fills you with wisdom. It tries your faith in yourself and your mission. And once you have passed that test, nothing can ever rattle you again. When you accept failure as a part of your narrative, you no longer dread it. You begin to realize that it is a teacher, a hard one, sure, but one that makes you your best. Consider this: every great invention, every work of art, every successful saga was the result of innumerable failures. The light bulb required hundreds of failed experiments. Great artists played tricks notes before they found harmony. And great leaders made bad choices before they discovered their vision. Failure doesn't exclude you, it qualifies you. It sharpens your intent, toughens your perseverance, and intensifies your thankfulness when success does come. Muniba always declares, when you accept yourself the way you are, the world recognizes you. That acceptance, of course, means accepting your failures as well. They are not imperfections on your path. They are evidence that you had the courage to attempt it. You were bold enough to risk, to dream, to fail, and to get up again. That is strength. That is courage. That is how character is developed. So the next time you're hit with a setback, don't say, "Why me?" Say instead, "What is this teaching me?" Each failure comes with a message, and if you pay attention, it will lead you down a better path. Perhaps you had to slow down, perhaps you had to turn around, or perhaps you just had to get a little stronger before you were able to grasp the success that's ahead. Always remember that no worthwhile journey is obstacle-free. Every fall is preparing you for what lies ahead. Success constructed without strife is superficial. Success constructed from failures is secure. So move on, learn, adapt, and continue to rise, because when you turn around someday, you'll see that all the failures weren't a detour. They were a part of the journey that took you right where you needed to be. We so often get so caught up pursuing the big dreams that we forget to enjoy the little wins along the way. But real success isn't merely about getting there. It's about the person you're becoming along the way. When you stop to mark your progress, no matter how minor it seems, you are reminded that each step counts. You understand that achievement doesn't happen overnight in a moment of glory, but in numerous moments of effort, learning, and grit. Muniba Mazari's life is a perfect demonstration of this reality. She didn't wait for the world to celebrate her, but celebrated herself during every stage of her recovery and development. When she began to paint from her wheelchair, it wasn't a matter of perfection, it was a matter of expression. Every stroke of the brush was a triumph. Every word she spoke was progress. Every day she got out of bed, no matter how much pain, was a celebration of life itself. Her tale reminds us that if you learn to find the beauty in your growth, no challenge will deprive you of joy. If you only mark success by the end result, You deprive yourself of the pleasure gained from the process. The grand victories are infrequent, but the small wins occur daily. You need to pay attention. Completing a task you've been procrastinating on, changing your perspective, learning something new, or just getting back on your feet after a terrible day, these all are worth celebrating. They are indicators that you are growing. They indicate that you're better today than yesterday, and that is something to be celebrated. Celebrating progress makes you keep going. It reminds you that you're growing, even if you're growing slowly. It moves your attention away from what's lacking and toward what's getting better. When you stop to appreciate your work, you start to feel thankful instead of frustrated. Thankfulness keeps you grounded. It makes you at peace with progress, because success is not hurrying to the top. It's about enjoying the ascent, believing that every step is leading you somewhere worthwhile. When you learn to rejoice in growth, you no longer compare your path to others. You realize that all paths are not created equal. Some go faster, some go slower, but it doesn't diminish the worth of your journey. Your speed is exactly right for your call. Muniba didn't compare her success to other people's timetables. She made her own. Her courage, her perseverance, her happiness, they were constructed day by day. That's the type of success that endures, the type that builds steadily but glows constantly. It's also worth noting that celebrating growth is not settling. It's celebrating where you are while still reaching for more. It's about aspiring versus appreciating. When you see only what lies in front of you, you risk exhausting yourself. When you mix it with a sense of appreciation for where you've gotten, you maintain your energy and drive. You keep your spirit alive. Each and every day gives you a reason to be proud. Perhaps today you stood up to your fear. Perhaps today you didn't quit when it was tough. Perhaps today you made one tiny step towards your dream. That is growth. That is success in progress. And once you begin to see that, something magical happens. You fall in love with the process. You begin to see that your journey is not so much about what you attain, but about how much you grow. So go ahead then. Celebrate your successes. Celebrate your strength. Celebrate the fact that you're still pushing, still hoping, still expanding. Because every incremental step is building your narrative, one of bravery, one of trust, one of change. Success is not a moment, it's a state of mind. It's the capacity to stand where you are today and say, I'm proud of where I've ended up, and I'm excited for where I'm headed. And when you live in that kind of mindset, you no longer pursue success. You begin to personify it. You're walking in a quiet confidence that no failure can discourage, no test of strength can destroy. Because you know you're getting stronger every day, wiser every day, and more unstoppable every day than yesterday. And that above all goals and achievements is the true definition of success.